Today I'm reacting to your Friday Night Smackdown Hot Takes. Hot Takes is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, whether those are good thoughts, bad thoughts, or everything in between about the world of professional wrestling. So if you'd like to be featured in the next episode of Hot Takes, make sure that you're following me on X because I ask for your hot takes there after every episode of Raw, Smackdown, and every single WWE Premium Live event. And don't forget, SummerSlam is this weekend and we'll be doing an episode of Hot Takes for each night of SummerSlam, so make sure that you're following over there. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know that you're going to fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. By the way, if you are looking for my full review, 30 plus minutes of this particular episode of Friday Night Smackdown with footage, it's already up and available over on patreon.com/SantiZap. Over there, we upload the Smackdown reviews, Raw reviews, and a whole bunch of other videos that can never get uploaded here because we use real footage and it would just get blocked due to copyright. So go check it out. Link in the description or link in the pinned comment. Thank you for learning your lesson, WWE, for not putting a banger match on the go-home show of Smackdown instead of your second biggest show of the year. So pumped for this match. Listen, if you've been watching this channel since even just after WrestleMania 41, you know that the one thing that I've been the most salty about all year is that WWE decided to leave the amazing SmackDown tag team division off of the WrestleMania card, and thus that amazing match of the year contender TLC match didn't get to be on the biggest stage possible. Instead, we were forced to endure the New Day versus the War Raider in some Clash Royale sponsored match. Whether WWE intended to or not, the SmackDown tag team division has been their best built division across the entirety of the WWE. There's better storylines and better narratives and more cohesion in the SmackDown tag team division than in any of their main event scenes right now. And I was concerned, genuinely concerned, that they were once again going to get the shaft and not appear at SummerSlam. I was praying, like AJ Styles was praying for the health of Dominic Mysterio, that we would get this tag team match on the SummerSlam card, and I was praying double hard that it would be TLC with all of these teams. That's why I was fingers crossed and hoping that the main event match between Andrade and Rey Fenix against the Wyatt Six would end in shenanigans, in a giant brawl, and that Nick Aldis would go out there and give us the next TLC iteration of this wonderful SmackDown tag team division, and that is exactly what we got. I am curious, like genuinely, if SmackDown was still 3 hours, would they have put this on SmackDown instead of SummerSlam? Because something tells me that they would have. Regardless, that's me trying to think all doom and gloom, and there's no need to think doom and gloom because we got it. We got the thing that not only we wanted, but the tag team division deserved and earned, which is a spot on a PLE. Not only just a PLE, like you said, the second biggest premium live event of the entire year. I'm just saying, whatever night this is on, everybody else better be on their game because this is going to steal the show. In fact, I think WWE has a tiny little bit of a problem in their hands as to when to place this match on the card, because if you open with it, I think the crowd is going to be dead for the rest of the show because they're just going to be exhausted from how good this match is going to be and from how crazy the spots will be as well. Like, dude, there are 12 people in this match, 6 tag teams. The chaos is going to be absolutely out of this world. We're all winners in this scenario, so I'm just glad that this is happening. This is just a good thing, you know, a good thing to a division that deserves good things happening to it. Now, if only the Raw tag team division could figure their shit out. This build for their match at SummerSlam is already better than their build at WrestleMania. The intensity Cody is bringing to this match is the intensity I wish he brought for Mania, but they had Cena be so focused on the fans to where they couldn't deviate from it. To be fair, I do think that their build for WrestleMania was so bad that they couldn't possibly be any worse than what they had at WrestleMania. To brag about being better than the build at WrestleMania, I think is like bragging about being the principal of a homeschool. There's nothing really to brag about here because the bar was so low. I like this Cody Rhodes. I really like the intensity of this Cody. I like that it's an intensity that's making us all wonder, holy hell, are we gonna have a heel turn here in some way, shape, or form? So I like the narrative that this is creating amongst fans. I just wish that there was actual conversations between Cody Rhodes and John Cena. Even in their contract signing, they didn't even really get to talk. It was just Cody talks to the camera, Cena talks to Cody, but then they don't really even have a back and forth. And that was the same problem with the WrestleMania build. At the very least, they're addressing each other as opposed to just John Cena addressing the fans. So it is a better build, but I really don't think that it's a good build either. Nonetheless, I'm excited for the match. I feel like WWE made the right call by making this a street fight. I think they know that they can't just put on on another vanilla match like they tried to at WrestleMania 41. I think they know that they need to come in with like the craziest shit imaginable for these two, and it looks like they're going to. I just wish that there was more time and more conversations between Cody and John Cena for me to feel the real personal side of this story, which I'm just not getting yet. And I don't think that I'm going to get. I don't think that they're going to create that like fire spark moment the night before SummerSlam. I just don't think that that's going to happen. Doesn't change the fact that I'm excited for the match. I just feel like the excitement levels at this point, it should be a bit higher. The SmackDown women's main event scene feels underwhelming. The bad build for this feud and Naomi going to Raw having that great program with Io and Rhea, Bianca is missed now more than ever. I completely forgot going into this episode of Friday Night SmackDown that we were even getting Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill. This is one of your biggest matches of the women's division available at SummerSlam. You have the Queen of the Ring winner, and this feels like an afterthought. It doesn't just feel like an afterthought to the other women's world championship, but it feels like an afterthought to the women's IC championship, and it feels like an afterthought compared to most of the card. We just talked about there not being that much of a narrative between Cody Rhodes and John Cena, but at least there's been some. In this, there's been virtually nothing. The only promos that they've had where they've been in the ring together have included somebody else that isn't part of this, like the Trish Stratus segment or the segment that also had Naomi in it. We don't really have anything that truly ties Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill, aside from the fact that they need to have a match at SummerSlam because Jade Cargill is the Queen of the Ring. And unlike some of other Tiffy's matches where I could get excited about the prospect of, okay, maybe the feud isn't great, but I know the match is going to be fantastic, I don't necessarily feel that about this match either. I think that this has the potential to not be particularly great. I want to be wrong. Trust me, I do. I want a good show. I want them to knock it out of the park, but at face value, I'm not convinced that this is going to be a great match. So that's why I was kind of hoping and really leaning on the fact that maybe they would actually create an interesting narrative, but we don't even have that as well. I also just find it to be a weird dynamic here. Like, they're both baby faces. Why would Tiffany Stratton come out to make the save on a Jade Cargill that's getting beat up? But Santi, she's a baby face. But Santi, she wants the best version of Jade Cargill. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It just, to me, doesn't make sense for a Tiffany Stratton character. I just feel like all of the puzzle pieces of this particular jigsaw puzzle that is Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill are all in the wrong places. I feel like you can maneuver them and place them so that it can be a beautiful picture, but right now, I don't see it at the moment. Kiana James pairing up with Giulia could be very fun. I just wish that they got a segment in the ring where she was able to introduce herself. It feels like she is being set up. We haven't seen her in over a year, and even then we didn't see much of her. Super excited to see what she does. I am glad that Kiana James is back, but I do think that we're setting up a ceiling for her right off the get-go by her being a manager. You got to remember that she got called up to the main roster to be a wrestler, to be an in-ring performer, and I just don't know where we find a spot for her as an in-ring performer moving forward. And it's not even just a problem of now. They didn't know what to do with her when she got called up because she disappeared for a while, appeared as Adam Pearce's assistant, and then got injured. So I am a little bit concerned for the future outlook of Kiana James as an in-ring performer because she might just be settled in as a manager maybe for the rest of her career. I don't know. Or maybe this will be a Sonya Deville type of situation where she can kind of bounce from like an authority figure, manager to in-ring performer whenever it is that they need her to. Either way, I think this is a smart place to put Kiana James because no one really knew who she was because she didn't really get a chance to introduce herself the first time around. So putting her right beside somebody that people already know, somebody that people already respect, and the United States champion Giulia, while also at the same time giving Giulia a mouthpiece to make her promos and stories flow a little bit better, I do think is a good symbiotic relationship for the two. Will this lead to the Women's US Championship getting more screen time? Maybe one of the concerns that WWE had was Giulia's inability to cut like a fire promo, and maybe having Kiana James there would give WWE a little bit more security and feel more comfortable having Giulia in the United States division being featured more prominently on TV. Again, that's just me telling myself a story. I don't actually know if that'll be the case. I'm trying to find the silver lining here and why this pairing might make sense. Should this have been in the ring? That would have been nice, like having Giulia out there and then having Zelina Vega go out and confront her, and then Kiana James's music hits and then she's introduced as Giulia's manager. That That sure would have been a more grandiose way, a more in-your-face way to introduce Kiana James to the wider WWE universe, but I think this is fine too. Spam is everywhere. I get spam calls, spam texts, spam emails, literally every single day. It's actually gotten to the point where I was getting more spam interactions than I was getting real human conversations on my phone and email. And I've tried to stop all of these by unsubscribing from unwanted newsletters, replying stop to spam texts, and they just kept coming back and actually getting worse. The reason for this is that your personal information like phone number, email, address, name is more likely available somewhere on the internet for these companies to buy and thus be able to spam you with unwanted messages. It's kind of messed up and scary when you really think about it that these data brokers are profiting by selling your personal data to sketchy companies around the world. That's why I'm so happy to be partnered with today's video sponsor, Incogni. Incogni works for you by reaching out to these data brokers on your behalf and request that your personal data gets wiped from their data banks. They also take care of handling any objections or obstacles that these brokers might set up to make it difficult for you to be able to remove your information from their sites. And they do it all on your behalf, all completely automated. My favorite feature with Incogni is the custom removals in the unlimited plan. Simply just point to a link where your personal information is being stored and let Incogni's privacy experts handle the rest. Incogni even has a dashboard where you can keep track of their progress. So you can see exactly how many removal requests were successful, how many they've sent out, and how many they're currently working on. And ever since partnering with Incogni for this video, my phone doesn't blow up with unwanted calls and texts, and my email is far easier to manage. So take your personal data back with Incogni and use code SANTIZAP at the link in the description below and get 60% off an annual plan. Again, folks, that is code SANTIZAP to get 60% off to take your data back from these data brokers who are selling your information to the highest bidder. Thanks again to Incogni for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get you back to the wrestling that you came for. I know Abyss is somewhere in Gorilla. Watch that black hole slam from Jelly Roll, because Santi, if I have to be honest, he really is selling himself really well for SummerSlam, but that's just my opinion. Jelly Roll is crushing it. I know that the little shoulder bumps on Logan Paul look kind of corny, but that boss slam was absolutely out of this world good. But I'm not really here to praise Jelly Roll's in-ring performance. I'm here to praise his promo. Oh my God, he might be the best celebrity promo ever. He was just such a natural on the microphone. You can tell that he took advice from Paul Heyman, as he mentioned in this podcast with Stephanie McMahon, took it to heart and delivered a hell of a promo in this segment here. He is a likable guy. My problem was never with Jelly Roll. My problem was and will continue to be the resources that are being put for this celebrity match. But now that we're here, there is no point in complaining. I'm just here to enjoy the ride, and I think I'm going to enjoy the ride. I think that this is going to be a fun match. I think that everyone's going to get their moment to shine. I think that the celebrity Jelly Roll will get to wow us in some way, shape, or form like he did on this episode. I'm not expecting, you know, a triple moonsault Canadian destroyer off the top of the Hell in a Cell from Jelly Roll, but I am at the very minimum expecting something serviceable if you're getting in the ring at a major show like SummerSlam. So the pressure is on there. But shout out to Jelly Roll, man. He got me excited for a match that I raised my eyebrows on. I'm already here for it. I've accepted it, and now I just sincerely hope it's a fun match. It's wild to see the women's tag team division is getting more love and care than WWE's Women's Championship. The booking of Tiffy versus Jade feels so lazy and lifeless. It doesn't feel like this match belongs to SummerSlam. I feel like we've already talked at length about the women's main event scene. I think you're entirely right. This just feels like it's there because it has to be there, as opposed to it being there because it deserves to belong there. And that's not the fault of Tiffany Stratton or Jade Cargill. It's the fault of the material that they've been given to work with. And let's face it, the material, it's not even that it's been bad. It's just that it hasn't been enough of it. Meanwhile, the women's tag team division, I know that it's really only like a couple of teams right now, but they're doing a hell of a job at rebuilding that division from being completely dead and irrelevant to something that I think does genuinely warrant a match at SummerSlam. Because not only are we getting storylines between teams, but then we're getting storylines within the teams as well. Can Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, can they work together after only being together for about a month? Can Raquel put aside her love for Liv Morgan to work with somebody that Liv Morgan didn't like? Then we have the stuff going on with Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, the allies of convenience. Can they work together? We want to see their friendship flourish. Like, we are seeing character dynamics. We are seeing character arcs. We are seeing characters develop on screen. And that's not something that I can say about Tiffany or Jade Cargill. Nothing about Jade Cargill, from their character, from their motivations, from their relationship with one another, has changed or been in any way, shape, or form dynamic since the moment that it was confirmed that they were going to be having a match against one another. There's no arcs at all to be had here. So yeah, I would actually agree with this statement. I think they're doing a better job with the Dead in the Water Women's Tag Team division than they are with their WWE Women's Championship. Now, this is how you close a SmackDown, announcing a 6-way TLC match at SummerSlam with the best tag team division right now. Now I want to know what night it's on. Like I said, whatever night is on, the other matches better bring their A game, because this match is going to steal the show. If I'm going to guess, I'm going to assume that this is going to be on night 2. Night 1 already has a handful of tag team matches. I don't know that there's room for another one. And there's already more matches on night 1 than there are on night 2. So I think they just fit nicer on night 2. But again, I think a wonderful question, and it could be just a good problem to have, is where do you put this? Because wherever it is that you put this, it's going to be such a high octane, high adrenaline match that the next match, the crowd's going to be low. While Jelly Roll's appearance seems like a money grab from TKO's end, it really seems like Jelly has poured himself into this and is taking the art of professional wrestling very seriously, and that's all we can ask from him, in my opinion. Tonight's segment got me pumped for the match. I'm rooting for Jelly Roll. I think it is so cool that this man has lost over 200 pounds. I think it's awesome that this guy is seeking advice from the veterans in the back to make himself be the best possible WWE superstar, even if it is just a temporary one, the best that he can be. And again, it shows. You can tell this man genuinely loves the art of professional wrestling. And I felt the same thing from Bad Bunny. That's another guy that really took his celebrity appearance spot really seriously. And it gained so much respect from fans, because we could see from the outside looking in that this man was loving what he was doing, and that he wanted to do the best, not just to get more exposure, but to give us the best product available. And that's actually the same vibe that I'm getting from Jelly Roll. And I'm really, really happy for that. Trust me, I've been around long enough to see the cheap celebrity money grab from both the WWE's end and the celebrity. I'm looking at you, Snooki, WrestleMania 27, trying to take advantage of the popularity of the hit MTV show Jersey Shore. That was terrible. This doesn't feel like that. This feels like, sure, money grab from TKO, but I don't care about TKO's finances. I care about the product that's being put on screen in front of me, and the character that Jelly Roll is portraying on screen just seems like somebody that cares that I want a good show. This is going to be one of the most amazing matches of the year. Modi contender, and it hasn't even happened yet. Already a banger with the SmackDown After Mania. Now add more teams. Modi, watch it. Okay, look, I agree. I think this has every opportunity and possibility and all of the talent available to be the match of the year. You want more teams, brother? This is already the biggest TLC match in the history of the WWE. You got 6 teams. That's 12 dudes. What else do you want? It's great that Tala Tonga finally took Jacob out. Every week he was getting destroyed by Jacob. WWE needs to book him as an unstoppable giant like Omos. They're like there with Tala Tonga. When I see Tala Tonga going off, I'm like genuinely impressed. I want to see more of Tala Tonga. Unfortunately, it's week after week after week where Tala Tonga and the rest of MFT just sort of gets clowned on by Jacob Fatu. Yes, Tala Tonga got to stand tall at the end of this segment, but not before Jacob Fatu took him out. To a degree, it's kind of reminding me of when Raquel Rodriguez joined with Liv Morgan, where we were expecting this to be like a Diesel, where Liv Morgan didn't have to run away because she had Raquel Rodriguez right there to be able to stop anybody from getting to Liv. And I kind of wanted that out of Tala Tonga here. I wanted him to be like super powerful, super strong, maybe even a little bit overpowered, but instead he just sort of seems like a regular dude that just can get overpowered by Jacob at any time. That does seem to be the weekly formula for this feud, though, by the way, which is just MFT getting virtually annihilated by just Jacob Fatu, and then occasionally getting the advantage, but then Jimmy is enough to take out this big faction that they've got. I think the talent is there with Tala Tonga. I'm impressed from the glimpses that I've seen. Now let's treat him like an actual badass mother effer. I was gonna come on here and complain about Priest and Black that it wasn't at SummerSlam, but knowing that we're getting TLC round 2 makes everything fine. I guess if you can't have both, have one. But I do think that we could have had both. WWE with Evolution showed that they can have a really nice, really cohesive, free-flowing 7-match card like they did for Evolution. Why couldn't they do that for each night of SummerSlam? 7 and 7 seemed entirely plausible for me. I know the reason why. I feel like Evolution didn't have that many sponsors, and SummerSlam is going to have a bunch of sponsors, so they need a bunch of time in between the matches to sell us a bunch of shit. So if I had it my way, I do think that Priest and Aleister Black, they told enough of a good story, and the star power is there to have warranted this being at SummerSlam. I can justify Giulia and Zelina not being at SummerSlam, considering this last episode of SmackDown was really like their first interaction since Giulia won the championship. That's fine being on SmackDown. That didn't really earn the SummerSlam spot, but I think that this did. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit surprised that it didn't get on the SummerSlam card, because WWE loves featuring Damian Priest on these big shows. So it is a little bit perplexing that this isn't gonna be on the SummerSlam card. But like you said, if we can't have both, at least we got one, and we got the correct one. I would have been super pissed if TLC was on SmackDown and Damian Priest and Aleister Black was on SummerSlam. I'm glad that the crowd cheered for and respected Hogan. I obviously condemn the things that Terry has said and done, but the Hogan character is something that I'll cherish. Without him, none of us would be here to complain about wrestling on a daily basis. His importance, influence, and impact can't be understated. I think that this is a very fair way to look at things. Like Cody Rhodes said, it's a bit of a complicated matter. This is a guy that fundamentally shaped professional wrestling. You can acknowledge everything that he contributed to the world of professional wrestling, but you can also recognize the dastardly things that Terry Bollea said in the latter part of his life. It feels like the internet wrestling community is forcing you to have to be on one side or the other, but two things can be true at once. He can be incredibly important and influential to the sport that we love, while also being a piece of shit. And that's the reality of the situation. I will say, man, seeing Jimmy Hart out there crying, like, that is like the real reminder of what the impact of death is. When you pass away, that's it. You're gone. You're at peace. You're done. But it's the people that you leave behind, your family, your friends, they're the ones that are left suffering. And those are the people that I truly am feeling for at the moment. I think the biggest takeaway from this is just to try and live your life in a manner so that when you pass away, people don't have to, talk about how complicated honoring you is. If they don't want to give the women's US title real TV time, let them siphon off the SmackDown Tag Team division. B-Fab, Cross, and Candice are all able to get TV time with their connections. Get Vega to join Rey and Andrade. You aren't actually the first person to point this out. I have had some people on my live streams point out the fact that there could be room to intermingle the two in a way where they can both benefit from one another, and they can both get exposure in TV time. The only problem is that is a temporary band-aid. If WWE were to do this, okay, great, fine, but eventually you're gonna have to separate the two, and right now the problem is that separated, the women's US title gets no time. So by attaching them to the tag team division, we're basically saying that the value of the women's US championship and division is only equal to, or can only max the equality to, of the WWE tag team titles. And I don't think that that's entirely fair. I don't think that that is a long-term solution. I don't think that you can do this for the rest of the existence of the women's US title, but you do need to find a way to get the women's US championship scene on TV, because without TV time, I don't think anyone's going to care about this title, about Giulia, about Kiana James, about Zelina Vega, or about whoever it is that goes after this title in the foreseeable future. So I get where you're coming from, but I just don't think that this is the solution to the problem that we currently have. They really went crazy with the stipulation matches at SummerSlam. Steel cage, street fight, no DQ in Lyra versus Becky, and 5, 6, 7, 8, or whatever tag team TLC match. We're getting spoiled. I'm honestly surprised Sammy versus Cross isn't a no DQ type match as well. Yeah, I mean, stipulations are a good way to get something excitement and hype when you didn't have time to organically build it. So WWE is relying on the good old faithful nasty stipulation to get you hyped about the match and to make you get invested in the brutality and the hatred of the people that are feuding against one another. It's simple, it works, and I'm here for it. I love stipulations as much as the next guy. I will say, you kind of make a fairly decent point with Sammy and Cross not having a stipulation. If anything, I thought that an I quit stipulation, although I wouldn't want it, because Sami Zayn in an I quit stipulation seems like it would just be an impossible task for the heel to get Sami Zayn to say I quit. But in terms of the context of their storyline and their feud, I thought thought an I Quit match kind of served well here. Not to mention the fact that there's the rumors that Karrion Kross hasn't been signed, so Karrion Kross fans would be kind of on the edge of their seat, because if Karrion were to say I quit, that might be the last time that you see Karrion. But yeah, I don't think that this is going to be the norm for PLEs or for SummerSlams or for WrestleManias. I really do think that all of these stipulations are the byproduct of a bad build, of not having enough time to flesh out the feud. So WWE kind of has to hit the accelerator by giving stipulations to a bunch of these storylines. Some of these stipulations were definitely earned, like the no DQ in Lara versus Becky. This is like the 4th month that they've been feuding with one another, so I'm on board with it. Where is LA Knight? Is he officially a Raw superstar or SmackDown? It feels like WWE just suddenly forgot about him after being a main event player in the last few episodes of Raw and SmackDown, and the hot feud he had with Seth and his faction. It really does feel like they're trying to sweep him under the rug, like, hey, forget that he won at Saturday night's main event. He did not beat Seth Rollins, our biggest heel ever. Because you would think, naturally, if a babyface beats the biggest heel that WWE has at the moment, that you might want to do something with that, but because LA Knight was probably not meant to win that, it probably means that he was never part of the plans to begin with. I was fine with them not announcing that he is now a Monday Night Raw superstar. I don't think that we need all of the grandioseness of like, hey, we've drafted LA Knight to Raw, whatever. He can just be on Raw. That's fine as far as I'm concerned. But then to have him appear on Raw and then all of a sudden disappear from Raw while also not being on SmackDown, while giving us no explanation as to why he's no longer on SmackDown, isn't a great look. I'm really concerned that he's going to miss SummerSlam. In fact, like, I'm pretty confident that unless they do like some big battle royale, that he is going to miss SummerSlam. A battle royale here wouldn't be the worst idea either, right? A winner gets a championship match at Clash in Paris, just like they did with the women at Evolution. I think it would make sense to have 2 #1 contenders right off the rip after SummerSlam is over and done with. I really hope that we get to see The Miz back on TV again, having feuds with new talent where he can really show off his mic skills. That segment with Jacob Fatu in the back was awesome. No pun intended, a little bit intended. But it was nice seeing Jacob Fatu going up against a guy that he can't just go, Yaramin, all gas, no brakes. You can't just be a catchphrase machine with The Miz, because The Miz will eat you alive. I want to see more of The Miz and Jacob Fatu. I want to see Jacob Fatu expand his mic work more, and I think a guy like The Miz could get the best out of Jacob Fatu from a mic perspective. I think we're all sold from in-ring Jacob Fatu. I'm not entirely sold on the mic work of Jacob Fatu. I know that he's good. I'm confident that he's very, very good, but he has become a little bit of a catchphrase merchant over the last couple of months. And more interactions like the ones that he had with The Miz would be a great way to, you know, show to the world that he doesn't just have to say Yaramin every 5 words. On August 16th, we will all be watching what's going to be the match of the year. By the way, I know that this isn't the SmackDown thing, but this was confirmed for Triple Mania. Fatal 4-way match between Hijo del Vikingo, Dominic Mysterio, El Grande Americano, and Dragon Lee for the AAA Mega Championship. That's gonna be fucking amazing. I gotta be paying more attention to AAA, man. Like, they're doing some fun stuff over there, incorporating a lot of the main roster stars that aren't doing a heck of a whole lot, like these 3. They recently had Santino over there going up against Mr. Iguana. Natalia's over there. Like, I gotta like keep an eye out on AAA more. People can hate all they want, but Logan might be the best character worker in the WWE right now. Hashtag thank you, Logan. I will say Logan Paul might be the best at garnering cheap heat that doesn't feel entirely cheap. That whole, hey, I thought you guys were chanting thank you, Logan, after people were chanting thank you, Hogan, I thought was a brilliant line. Best character worker in the WWE right now? I don't know if I'm willing to give him that throne, but he's certainly a good one, and he is just a really, really good heel. But hey, those that hate Logan Paul will never acknowledge that Logan Paul is good at this craft of professional wrestling. I'm sorry, but he is. You know what? No, I'm not sorry. I'm glad that Logan's good. But more than anything, I'm just glad that he's humble. The best feud on SmackDown is Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. The work that is being put week in and week out is phenomenal, and Jacob has only gotten better. This man is slowly creeping up my list of current favorites, and I can't wait for that SummerSlam match. Yaramin. Jacob Fatu, it's very clear that unless he does something to screw up, he's a made man. This is a guy that's going to be headlining WrestleManias. He is so incredible. WWE loves to feature him. When you look at like SmackDown over the last couple of weeks, the feud and storyline that's gotten the most airtime is Jacob Fatu versus MFT. For me, I would just like MFT to feel stronger, to feel scarier, because week in and week out, Jacob Fatu is eating them alive. But not only is Jacob Fatu obviously flourishing with all of the extra screen time, what about Solo Sikoa, man? Like, this guy, sure, he feels a little bit weak from an in-ring in-ring perspective, he doesn't feel like anything like a dangerous champion, but his mic work is so good. He's the one who's had the most character growth and development over the last little bit. He has absolutely taken all of this extra screen time that has been given to him, probably off of the popularity and future growth and outlook of what WWE sees in Jacob Fatu, but he's also helping make his career with this feud. Not a SmackDown related, but I'm so happy for Cross. I don't think WWE will let him go. You would think so, right? Like, I would assume that if WWE is giving Karrion Kross the much needed PLE rub that so many people think that he deserves, and now he's getting a SummerSlam match against a huge character like Sami Zayn, that this is not a guy that they're planning on letting go, right? I'm not sold on it yet, however. Like, I could absolutely see WWE kind of giving this his like last swan song, or maybe this is his last opportunity to demonstrate that he absolutely must be signed. So I said this during the build up to the match at Night of Champions. I'm going to say triple here. This needs to be Karrion Kross's best match of his entire career, especially if he hasn't been re-signed yet. This can't be a stinker. If this is a stinker, I don't think that we see Karrion Kross long term, sadly. Gotta give props to Alexa Bliss for taking some bruises. Her chemistry with Charlotte Flair in tonight's episode should be a sign of them winning the women's tag titles at SummerSlam. Dude, that bump, go back and watch it. It's nasty. She does the twisted bliss and she lands nose first right on Raquel's knee. That was actually like a cool visual. Obviously, I don't want people getting hurt, but it did kind of create a little bit more sympathy for them as a team in the back, with Charlotte Flair coming to the aid and checking in on a bloody Alexa Bliss. It made me like them even more. And I know that that was intentional because that segment happened like well after the bloody nose happened. I think they kept the blood there all dried and looking nasty because I think they knew they had a cool visual for that particular segment that could make people fall in love with this tag team even more. But yeah, man, shout out to Alexa Bliss. Like, if somebody were to do that to my nose, I'd probably like storm off crying. But that's it, folks. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Hot Takes. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Goodbye. Get out of here.